There is a strange kind of person who can change your whole mood without even trying. You see their name on your phone, and something inside you tightens. They make one small comment and suddenly your mind is somewhere else. The day can be going well. Then this person appears and peace disappears. What makes it strange is that they may not have done anything terrible, yet their presence stays in your mind long after they leave. You replay what they said and what you should have said. They are still in your head. But then someone else says something rude, you feel annoyed and you move on. So why is it different with this person? Why can one person reach a place inside you that others cannot? At first the answer seems simple. Maybe they judge you, ignore you, or make you feel small. And sometimes they really are difficult. But there is another part. If their behavior alone created your reaction, why would the same behavior affect people in such different ways? Something deeper begins to appear. The person may be the trigger, but the strength of the reaction may come from somewhere else. Something inside you is being touched. Maybe it is an old fear. Maybe a need to be respected, accepted, understood, or in control for now. Notice this. Sometimes the person who disturbs your peace is not creating the whole storm. They may only be touching a storm that was already there. This is where Taoism begins to point us inward. Peace is not only about what happens around us. It is also about what happens when reality does not match what we think it should be. So the deeper question is not only, why are they like this? It is, what inside me reacts so strongly when they are? That question opens a door. You can be having a perfectly normal day, and then one person appears. Maybe they send you a message. Maybe they walk into the room. Maybe they say something small, or maybe they say nothing at all. And suddenly something changes inside you. Your body gets tense. Your mood drops. Your mind starts moving faster. You think about what they said. Then you think about what they meant. Then you remember something they said weeks ago. Before you know it, they have left the room, but they are still living inside your head. That is the strange part. Someone else can be rude to you, and you forget about it 10 minutes later. But when this particular person does it, you carry it for hours. Why? Why does one person have so much power over your peace? It is easy to blame them. Maybe they are selfish. Maybe they judge you. Maybe they ignore you, compete with you, criticize you, or make you feel like you are never enough. And sometimes, they really are difficult. But there is something worth noticing. The reaction inside you may be much bigger than the event itself. A few words can create a whole storm of thoughts. A look can feel like rejection. Their success can make you question your own life. Their silence can make you search for an answer that may not even exist. It is almost as if they have found a hidden button inside you, and when they press it, you react. But maybe they did not create that button. Maybe it was already there. This does not mean the other person is innocent. It does not mean you should accept bad treatment. It simply means there may be more happening inside you than you first thought. Taoism offers a quiet way of looking at this. Peace is not only lost because of what happens around us. Sometimes peace is lost because we fight against what is happening inside us. We want people to behave differently. We want situations to feel fair. We want others to see us the way we want to be seen. And when reality refuses to follow our wishes, something inside us pushes back. So the real question may not be, why does this person bother me so much? It may be something deeper. What are they touching inside me that I have not yet seen? Sometimes the person who upsets you most is not the person who hurts you the most. They may simply be the person who touches the part of you that you work hardest to protect. Think about the image you carry of yourself. Maybe you see yourself as smart, maybe strong, maybe kind, successful, independent, or in control. You may not say these things out loud, but you still build a quiet picture of who you believe you are. And then someone comes along and shakes that picture. They point out a mistake you hoped no one would notice. They get the praise you wanted. They refuse to give you their approval. They seem free in a way that makes you notice how much you hold yourself back. Suddenly, you do not just dislike them. You feel threatened by them because they are no longer touching your feelings. They are touching your idea of yourself. This is why a small moment can feel so large. If you believe you must always be respected, one person ignoring you can feel deeply painful. If you believe you must always be right, being corrected can feel like an attack. If you need to feel in control, someone acting in a way you cannot change can make you angry. The strange part is that we often defend these ideas without even knowing we are defending them. We think we are fighting the person, but sometimes we are fighting to keep our old picture of ourselves alive. And this is where the Taoist view becomes interesting. The more tightly you hold something, the more afraid you become of losing it. If you hold tightly to being respected, you become sensitive to disrespect. If you hold tightly to being in control, you become disturbed by anything you cannot control. The problem is not having an identity. You need one. The problem begins when you believe you must protect that identity at all costs. Then, life becomes a constant test. Every person must fit your expectations. Every situation must confirm who you think you are. But life does not work that way. People will misunderstand you. They will disagree with you. Some will see things in you that you do not want to see. And sometimes, the person who triggers you most is simply showing you where your grip is strongest, which raises an uncomfortable question. What if the feeling you keep trying to defeat is actually showing you what you are still afraid to lose? The moment something hurts us, we often make it worse without noticing. Someone says something that gets under your skin. You feel angry, you feel hurt, maybe you feel small. Then the moment passes, but your mind does not. You replay the conversation. You think about what you should have said. You imagine saying something better next time. You prove to yourself that they were wrong, and then you replay it again. A moment that lasted 30 seconds can take over your mind for the rest of the day. This is where the struggle begins. The first feeling was only one part of the pain. The rest comes from fighting that feeling. You tell yourself, I should not be this angry. Then you become angry about being angry. You try to push the feeling away, but pushing it away makes you think about it even more. This is one of the strange things about the mind. What we fight can become harder to let go of. Taoism points toward a different way. Instead of forcing the feeling to disappear, you allow it to be there. You notice the anger. You notice the hurt. You notice the need to defend yourself. You do not have to act on it. You do not have to agree with it. You simply stop fighting the fact that it is there. This does not mean becoming weak. If someone treats you badly, you can leave. You can say no. You can set a boundary. You can create distance. You can protect yourself without carrying the fight inside. Your mind all night, that is the difference between action and inner resistance. You can respond to what happens without making war with what you feel. The goal is not to force yourself to become calm. It is to stop adding more pain to the pain that is already there. When you stop gripping the feeling, something begins to change. The emotion has room to move. Anger can rise and fall. Hurt can be felt and released. A thought can appear without becoming a battle. And slowly, the person who triggered you becomes less like an enemy. You begin to watch what happens inside you. Because sometimes the most useful thing about a difficult person is not what they do to you, it is what they help you see. What if the person who triggers you is not only a problem to solve, but a clue to understand yourself? The next time someone gets under your skin, notice what happens before you react. What are you trying to protect? Maybe your pride, maybe your need to feel respected, maybe your need to be right. What expectation did they break? Maybe you expected kindness. Maybe you expected approval. Maybe you expected them to treat you the way you would treat them. And what does their behavior make you believe about yourself? These questions change the moment. Instead of only looking at the other person, you begin looking at your own reaction. This does not mean blaming yourself. If someone lies to you, uses you, insults you, or treats you badly, you do not have to accept it. You can walk away. You can say no. You can protect your peace with clear boundaries. Understanding yourself does not mean excusing someone. Else it means separating two things that the mind often mixes together. There is what the person did, and there is the meaning you gave it. Those two things are not always the same. Someone may ignore your message. That is what happened. Your mind may turn it into, they do not respect me. I am not important. I need to find out why. That story can create far more pain than the silence itself. Taoist wisdom points toward a simple kind of awareness here. Watch what rises inside you. Without rushing to push it away, notice the anger. Notice the fear. Notice the need to defend yourself. You do not have to become those feelings. You can see them without obeying them, and something powerful happens when you can do that. You get a space between what happens and what you do. Next, that space is freedom. You may still feel hurt. You may still dislike the person, but they no longer control your inner world in the same way. The trigger has become a mirror, and once you can see what it reflects, you can stop fighting the mirror and start changing what you see. Maybe you still remember the person who could ruin your whole day with just a few words. But now, something has changed. They may still be difficult. They may still say things that hurt. They may still behave in ways you do not like. The difference is that their behavior no longer decides what happens inside you. You can hear the words without carrying them for hours. You can feel anger without letting anger control your next move. You can feel hurt without turning that hurt into a story about your worth. This is not becoming cold. It is not pretending that nothing matters, and it does not mean allowing people to treat you badly. It means you no longer need to fight every feeling that appears inside you. This is where the Taoist way becomes simple. You stop forcing yourself to be calm. You stop forcing other people to behave the way you want. You simply notice what is happening and let the feeling move through you. The person may remain the same, but your relationship with their behavior has changed, and that changes everything. You begin to see why certain people once triggered you so deeply. They touched something you were holding tightly. Maybe your need to be respected, maybe your fear of rejection, maybe your need to be right, needed, or in control. The moment you can see that clearly, the person begins to lose some of their power. Not because they changed, because you stopped handing them control of your inner world. That is a quieter kind of freedom. You still feel, you still care, you still protect yourself, but you no longer have to turn every uncomfortable feeling into a battle. And maybe that is what the difficult people in your life can feel, not only what you dislike about them, but where inside yourself you are still holding on.